Hello everyone, Ben here with a solo game of CO2. This is going to be a solo game of the second edition, and it's set up very similar to a co-op game. I mean, you're basically playing on the co-op side of the board, and you have some co-op goal cards to try and achieve. But for the solo game, you may or may not, but essentially to add a bit of difficulty into it, you're also going to have a solo goal card to try and achieve. And then on your board, the setup is basically the same. You simply have another main action marker with which to do actions, and some additional bits and pieces in another colour, basically in case you run out of your initial stuff, because you can go over the limit in how much infrastructure and other stuff you're allowed to put out. And then you also have your bonus cards, and then in a solo game you have 4 of each of the UN goal cards, and you have to try and achieve at least 5 of those, which may or may not happen, we'll see. And everything else is set up very similarly to the co-op game there. So we get to begin. There's 4 decades, and we get a main action and a civil executive actions per decade. And then if you want to, you can use your second main action marker to do more actions, but you have to then unfortunately start polluting. We'll see how that goes as we get round. So, there's a lot of initial goals to take in at the very beginning. The ones we drew, so in a solo game you draw 4, and you pick 2 of them to try and achieve, basically. So this one is having control in 4 areas, which is probably doable, it's not too bad. And then this one is having similarly built power stations, and for a solo game we need to have 3 of them. So 3 of one type of power station, which again is hopefully achievable. And then our solo goal card is basically reaching the end of the track in all researches, which, yeah, I'd be surprised if we didn't get that, to be honest, so sure. Of course, now I've said that will probably fail that completely, but there we go. And then you need 5 of these, and these will get picked up as the game progresses as well. Oh, and I should mention, with the solo game, you're basically told to play the UN Inspector variant, which means that at the start of each decade, this one included, we have some marker cubes out, and these show us that these particular goals, if they're not achieved by the end of the decade, will count double for points reduction. So that essentially means that we definitely want to be working towards building an Oceana, and we definitely want to be working towards a wind turbine summit. So in that case, and if we're building an Oceana, we can build a wind turbine plant, which will get us out onto that summit later on, which is good. So that's probably a good place to start. And then we can think about some other bits and pieces to collect some other goals as we go on. So if our main action then is going to be starting towards a wind turbine, we want to propose. And when you propose, you select the plant you're proposing, so wind power in this case. You can place it in any region you like as long as there's an available space. And we want to place it there for an Oceana, and you can only place in regions if the region demand is for that particular type of plant. So they do require wind turbines at some point, so we can certainly put one of those out. And then there are the same 3 spaces all around in each of the 6 different continental areas. So you've got, when you place it, you get a bonus of money equals the number of CEPs it's still got in the region. You're going to get a scientist, or you get 2 tech cubes. And a default bonus is you're always going to get a research in the particular type of plant you're putting down. So we can place this therefore down in Oceana, and I think probably money might not be a... well, let's go for the scientist, because we are going to need at least one more scientist if we're going to get a summit done over there, because there are at least 2 scientists for a summit. So we'll grab another scientist and we'll do that, and that just comes onto our board. So we get 1 research in wind power, which is great. Probably going to need at least 1 more. Well, in that case then, if we go for... No, we're going to get 1 more anyway when the scientist comes off that, so that's fine. So we can hold off on doing that. But when you claim a scientist, another benefit from them is you can get 1 research step of any particular energy you like. So we could have got 1 in wind turbines, but I think we'll probably put the second one towards... good question. Well, having a look at the goals again, we want to build solar or water powered. Well, solar's probably the harder one to get built at this point, so we'll put our extra research point into solar, and we'll do that. And we'll see how that goes. So I believe that was everything. If you can't already tell, basically anytime you do something you get bonuses all over the place. So hopefully I won't forget any particular bonuses we may or may not get at any points. So I think that's up to date so far. And we did that. And we could do a executive action of putting a scientist out. So you're limited to 1 main action, potentially 2 if you're doing a solo game, per step per turn during the decades, but you can do as many of the 3 executive actions whenever you like if you can do them. So one of them is place a scientist out, and we'll certainly occupy our proposed wind turbine plant with that. And did we... No, we didn't do any bonus cards yet. Not yet. Okay, so we'll hold off on those, and as long as we get them done at some point during the game and get the benefits from them, that's okay. They can, they're not immediately essential, I don't think, so that's fine. And then we're definitely going to do a bonus step, a bonus action, I believe. So unfortunately, we do have to pollute, so we have to move the pollution marker up 1 step. But we do get to do another main action, and it has to be different from the previous main, or a main action, as it were. We can't do this one twice, so we certainly can't build a project, but we can certainly put down infrastructure for a project. So that is what we'll do. We will put down infrastructure for our only project that's out there. So we have to pay CEP, and this basically comes off our board, or if we are in control of regions from a region, from a region we control. But for the time being, from our board, and then it just goes back to the general bank supply. So we paid the CEP. Our scientist is now moved off by the infrastructure that's going to get built there, and he can go somewhere else. And it could be another project, but there's no other projects available. So it's definitely going to be a summit. And I think if we... Oh, I didn't think this through all the way. Well, we'll have to put him in the New York summit then. One thing I forgot to check is if we can even get a summit with wind power and solar, which we were looking towards. We can't, but we can have a summit with wind power and water power, or tidal power. So we'll certainly try and do that, and scrap my previous idea of going for a solar plant, and we'll try and do a water plant instead. So scientist gets moved off, and he will give us 1 research in wind, so that will bump us up. And now we're at level 1 plants in the wind research, so we can now build those particular plants, at least at level 1 anyway. This then gets flipped over, and we get the bonus. And the bonus in the case of wind turbines is 5 money and a research cube, or tech cube. And the bonuses will change depending on which particular type of plant you put out, and gets flipped over. So we'll flip that one over, and then we put the infrastructure on it to indicate that it is ours. And essentially in the solar game, this could be any colour basically. All infrastructure is going to be your infrastructure, even if it's not in the particular colour that you're playing in. So that's fine, and we need to get 5 money, which is good, and not from there, from over here. 2 tech cubes, and tech cubes are useful for possibly building power plants in the final stage, but also activating these gold cards and getting them flipped over as well. So that's good, and that's our first plant started anyway. And if we can get that built, and then a water plant, and that should probably just about do us, to be honest, for the first decade, so sure. Okay, I don't believe we're going to... Nope, we're not going to use any bonus cards, so that's fine. So we're done with our turn. Main action markers come off, executive action markers come off, and we simply move on to the next turn. So we want to propose another plant now, and it's going to be a water one this time, I think. I've corrected my previous error. And where would we like to place it? Well, where do we need to build? Asia looks pretty heavily incentivized, as does North America. So can we do Asia? No. North America, yes, but it's not the best of places. One thing to also go for, as well as everything else, is if you can get your power plants, if you can get the most preferential type of power plants built in a region, and you outclass your opponents. In the case of a solo game, we just have a couple of dummy markers that have been placed out to show that there is some competition, but not a whole lot. So it's possible to gain control of regions past the dummy markers, and if you do, we can start using those CEPs as if they were our own. So North America would be great because it's got a lot of CEPs we can use, but water power is only 3rd preferential space, so getting control of the region is going to be difficult. We could do it in South America, but we don't really need to build in South America at the moment because it's not a goal for us, and we're going to lose points if we don't build in the other regions. But even so, I still think probably South America, because we can certainly get control of it easily enough. It's got a reasonable number of CPs we can use for our own ends. So yeah, and we'll just have to worry about the goals in other places later on. So we will propose it, and we could use some money, I think. CP in, CP out. Yeah, we've got sufficient scientists for at least a summit, so I think more money is probably a good idea at the moment. So we'll place it on the X money equals CP spot, and we'll get 4 money for the 4 CPs. And that's fine. And we also get 1 step up on the water research, so that's fine. And we can do an executive action to move a scientist out to there. And yeah, that's looking good. Okay. So if we then do infrastructure, and then no, we'll have to do a build. Well, it's not set in stone, to be honest. If we do infrastructure now, then the next final 2 turns of the decade, we can do 2 builds and possibly some more proposals and other bits and pieces. So that seems to be okay. So yeah, we'll do infrastructure, and we did do that, so we'll have to pollute. And at the beginning of the game, that's not too bad because it requires less points to reduce your pollution than it would do otherwise. So at least in the very first decade, you want to get as many bonus actions as you possibly can do. And we're going to do our tidal power plant. So again, scientist comes off. We have to pay a CEP for it. Well, we've got 1 left over in our supply, so that's fine. But we are going to start either having to go to the bank, that should be over there, we are going to have to start either going to the bank in future turns to get more CPs or taking them from other regions we then start controlling. So this can get flipped. And what's the reward? Reward is 3 coins. 1, 2, 3. 3 coins, another cube, and a CP. Well, the cube's fine. Unfortunately, the CP has to come from the market. So it's now 1 more, and then the price will start going up, which is a bit of a shame, but there's not much you can do about it, really. That goes there, and then our scientist comes off, and he gets another step up tidal power track, and he then goes to a summit. Well, he could go back to our board. He could go back to a bonus card we may have played on a previous round, but essentially you want to try and get scientists off projects into summits and getting a lot of research for you from there. So that's good. And now then, we haven't yet built the tidal power plant, so we can't do this particular card. We did indeed propose one into this space, so we may as well get that done now. Bonus cards are a bit of a... what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, you can play them at any point before or after you have done your main action for the turn. So our main action was indeed... No, I missed a step somewhere. I should have done this earlier. Okay, my fault. So basically, when I initially proposed in this particular space, then I should have done the executive action to grab this particular card and get it played. Unfortunately, I steamrolled ahead and completely forgot about it, and then I came to do another main action with the infrastructure and forgot that I hadn't. And at that point, it's no longer valid to then grab this card because your main action is past and you're not doing the one that pertains to this particular bonus. So, my fault, but we'll get round to this at some point, I have no doubt. So that's fine. Right, so our 2 main actions are over with. So it comes to the end of the turn, and when it comes to the end of your turn, you basically check to see if any summits have been completed, and they indeed have been. So these guys can come off, and this summit is completed. So we get to do a couple of goals at the moment. So this one is definitely flipped, which is good. We don't want to minus all the double negative points from that one. And one of these gets flipped, so unfortunately, even if there are 2 tidal power goals in the summits area, you can only do one at a time. You can flip them both, but that's still not too bad. This then gets moved off. Let's put it over there for the time being, and a new one comes in its place. And these guys that were on it, so basically each scientist that comes off essentially then goes back to your board, and you get 2 research points per scientist in the topics that were on the summit. So this New York summit had wind power and tidal power, so I can have, basically because I have all the scientists on there, I can have 4 research points in whatever combination I like between these 2 topics. And if there were 3 topics on there, I could have 6 points in whatever combination I like between the 3 topics. So between wind and tidal, I might probably just do 2 apiece, to be honest. Especially tidal, because then getting up to this step here gives us a bonus research in solar power, which is great. And then yeah, we may as well keep going. There's no bonus, unfortunately. There's no goal for getting up to certain levels in either either tidal or wind. But we have to get to the end of the tracks for the solar goal anyway, so we may as well go up on both of them. and that should be fine. So yeah, we'll do that. And then scientist back, summit's over, and it turn is over. So these come back, that does that, and we're on to a new round. Well then, we're definitely going to want to build, and I think we're definitely going to want to get both of these built at some point, but we may as well go ahead and do water power. So we will, right, so looking at your board, building the water power requires at least a level 1, 9 money. We do have an abundance of money. Do we have enough for the wind as well? Not quite, so we need a bit more money, but that's fine. So 9 money, which is that lot. 1 CEP, yep. And 1 tech cube. Okay, tech cube just goes back to the supply over there, and the money goes back to the bank. And then we get 6 points for it, so we'll give ourselves 6 points. Good. And then this then gets the appropriate power, or appropriate power plant, I should say. So it was water, so we need that from the stack. And then it just gets moved down into the built power plant area in the lowest level possible. So that's good. Got the points, spent the stuff, yep. And now we can not forget to do a bonus card. So we did build a water plant, and we get 3 money for it. We could, if we hadn't done the main bonus action, we could still play this card as an executive action and just get the other bonus, the minor bonus at the bottom here. But I think the 3 money is going to come in very handy next turn for getting that wind turbine plant built. So that's now played, and then this goes out somewhere. Let's see if we can do this so it won't get confusing. We'll just put it over here for the time being. So this is then placed out, and essentially in a normal game it means that other players can then possibly come along with their scientists and activate the card for essentially the cost of the scientist, because it gets placed on as a permanent reminder. And then they get the minor bonus if they so wish. We may or may not do that. It might be worth it at the end of the game just to use up our scientists, which are no longer going anywhere, and getting a tech cube. But for the time being, we'll just leave it there and hopefully not forget about it. Okay, so on to probably proposing another plant then as our second main action. And again we have to pollute. And now then, what would we like to... Oh, and I forgot, we built in South America, so we do flip over not a South America token because there isn't one, but we do flip over a water plant there. And we also need to put out a cube. So anytime that you complete a plant and it's built into a region, you then check to see if you're in control of the region for purposes of CEP usage. We did build 1 water plant, and the number of cubes in a particular area doesn't matter. If we had built 4 water plants, it would still be just we've built tidal power, so that's fine. So currently there's still a tie, because both myself and the dummy marker have 1 type of plant built. There is no tie-break in order of preferential because we've just built the tidal and nothing else. So the next thing is which of us has the greater research in that particular power. So obviously we are only going to be ahead in research because there is no dummy markers there. So we break the tie and we get to place out our marker, which indicate that we now control this region, and we can start using its CEPs, which is great. Not so much for the region, but certainly for us. Now then, so before I got ahead of myself, I did say I was going to propose another plant. Well, we definitely want to build solar at some point, so that's probably a good one to go for. Solar research is quite advantageous as per goals, and there's solar in the summit, so solar plant seems like a good idea. And can we place it? We can place it into Asia, and that would get us basically control of Asia, and Asia is definitely a goal we want to be going for, so yeah, we'll do that. So we're going to place it in Asia, and we could place it to get money for CEPs. Again, scientists is probably okay for the time being. Yeah, I think scientists is okay for the time being, and tech cubes are probably okay for the time being, so we'll place it in the money for equal to CEP spot. So we're going to get 1 solar energy for placing it. We're going to get 6 money because there are 6 CEPs in the region. That's a chunk of change, which is great. Oh. And I already used my executive action marker to play a card. Well, okay, we're going to have to skip out this one yet again, and we'll get round to it in another turn, I promise. But yes, unfortunately, while you get 2 main actions per round, or per turn, you only ever get the 3 executive actions, and you cannot double them up, unfortunately. So, never mind, we'll get round to it. But for the time being, we got the 6 money, we got the solar research step, and we will definitely put a scientist out, so he can occupy that spot, which is great. And that's good. Yeah, that's looking pretty good, actually. So, turn is over, these come back, these come back, this moves on, so it's a final turn for the first decade, and hopefully we're on the way to getting stuff done. So, while it would be nice to probably build, excuse me, while it would be nice to probably build this plant in Asia, the plant in Oceania is, interesting. If we build the plant in Oceania, we're definitely going to get this goal done. Excuse me a second. If we build this plant in Oceania, we're definitely going to get that goal done, and we're not going to get the -2 or -2 points deduction for it. However, if we build the solar plant in Asia, we'll get 2 goals achieved. And to be honest, I like the sound of that a lot more, actually. Yeah, I think we definitely want to get 2 goals achieved, because that will set us up in greater stead for not losing out points for future rounds, and only for this round it's basically equal either way, so that's fine. So yeah, I think instead what we'll go ahead and do then is we'll set up the infrastructure for the solar plant. So we need to a couple of things here. Let's see. So we need to pay a CEP for it. Well, we don't have it on board, and I'd rather not go buy some from the market, so we'll have to take one from South America, and maybe place it back there later on, maybe not, we'll see. So that will then get spent as the CEP, and this scientist coming off gets solar power research, great, and he can go on to a solar project. Unfortunately, there's no solar project and wind turbine project, so probably just this one in Zurich then, and we'll do a forestation project at some point and get that sorted. So yeah. Then this gets flipped over, and the benefit is 3 tech cubes. So that should set us up quite happily on tech cubes for the time being. And yeah, okay. So then we can build a plant as our secondary action, second main action. Do the pollution, but that's not too bad. And get this solar plant built. So in order to build that, we're going to need 10 money. That's a fair amount, but we have money at the moment to spare. Yep, 10 money there. And what else? So another CP, so gain, maybe, well, we only have 5 money after that, after we spend the 10. So I think, unfortunately, another CP from South America. Okay, and 2 tech cubes. Well, we got 3 back for the plant infrastructure, so that's fine. Okay, CP 10 money, 2 cubes, and we get 8 points for it, so great. That's going up to 30, that's 4 points, 34. 26 plus 8 is 34, yep, okay. And we get a solar plant out on there. So that's good, and then that gets shifted down. And that's 2 plants built during the first decade. That looks pretty good. That's hopefully not going to cause us problems. We get control of Asia now because we have solar built. We are tied up, but we have the most research. So great. Like so. And I believe that is everything for our first decade. I don't think there's anything I missed. Sometimes you can get ahead of yourself, as I'm sure I have been doing at the moment, in certain areas and miss bits and pieces that you're supposed to get, but I think we're okay. So good. First decade over with then, so we're on to income. This lot can come back. Oh, and we paid the money. There we go. That's fine. And this scientist just basically sits around waiting for someone to join him at the summit until such time as someone does. Unfortunately, he cannot be moved off. So that's okay. Right. So then, we need income, and you get income based on your research levels. So we've got 3, so you're looking at the number at the top of the track here. So 3 for wind, 3 for solar, and 3 for tidal. So that's a total of 9. And basically you can get it in points or money, in any combination thereof, and it's entirely your choice. I think, let's see, we have 5 money, and we're probably going to get some more money at some point, at least for building, or at least to build a tidal plant. So I think we're okay with money at the moment. So I think we'll get it all in points, which is going to be 34 plus 9 is 43. There is a caveat in the rulebook, I believe, where basically you can extrapolate how many minus points you're going to get through all of the bits and pieces, and then decide afterwards if you want to get more bonus points or more money once you've figured it all out, so that you can get the most advantage out of it. But I think we'll just get it all in points and not worry terribly much about figuring out exactly the points difference and so on and so forth. I realise we should have flipped over the solar and the Asia goals, so that's fine. Nothing else for the time being. Nope. No, unfortunately, we're 1 research off getting the solar goal flipped over, but never mind. So fine. And income's done, so now we move on to the goal step. So then, we've got 1 Oceania counts twice, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Really? That seems like a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 14, yeah, 17. Okay, fine. So we lose 17 points. So you can tell handily that in 2010 you lose a point per goal, and then it goes up by a point, or down by a point I should say, as the decades go on. So we lose 17 points, so 43 back to 33, and then a further 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that should be fine, hopefully. because now, unfortunately, we have to do the plant requirement step. And this is basically any region that did not get a power plant built in it for the current decade obviously needs its energy requirements met. And if it can't do it through clean power, it will do it through dirty power. So we have to draw into the bag of fossil fuel powers in this case, and start placing them out. That's not good. So that's a coal plant, and it's got the number 40 on it, so we have to basically then increase pollution by 4, by 40 points. So that's that. I'm going to come on to Europe, and Europe's the cleanest with natural gas, so that's 20. That's bring us up to 500, and in a region where there's no one controlling it, you simply have to cover the cost with a region's CEP. In a region where there is someone controlling it, you put your marker on top of the plant itself. That's another natural gas, that's good. Right, so we're going to go above the 500 step at this point, so we'd be at basically 520, which would be about somewhere here. Essentially what you can do is you can then start taking away his points and cover the cost that way, because if you're at any point above 500 you lose the game, essentially. So there is really no point carrying on if you're going to be above 500, so you start taking away points and hope you get down to 500, and if you don't, or you run out of points, then you basically lose. And again, in the first decade, it's -1 point per 10 pollution steps, as it were. So 520 down 2 would be -2 points, and that's covered. Oh yes, and the point I was making before is essentially the CEP that comes from the region. Oh, we're doing very well for natural gas. Unfortunately, that's gonna hit us a lot with coal later on, I suspect. Like so. Comes from the region, or if you have a control marker, you place it on the power plant that would have been built, and then it's up to you to find the CEP for that particular region. So it can either come from your board, or another region you control, you can transfer them across, or if you can't do it at all, you then have to pay a fine in points. And that's mainly for the competitive game, I believe, but certainly in the solo it can start hurting you if you accidentally have to start paying fines and lose points for it. But we are done with all the power plants, and what I think we're going to do is we're going to drop it all the way down to 400, and we're going to pay an extra 10 points worth for the privilege of doing so, because in the first decade it's obviously the cheapest and you want to get it down as low as possible. In the latter decades it's basically risk management, what you can possibly get away with just to survive to the end of the game. But certainly we can afford to pay 10 points for 100 parts per million, and we'll do it that way. Oh, and another thing I forgot is the UN Inspector variant. So we have to draw a power fossil fuel plant, and you then shuffle the goal markers that many steps divided by 10. So it comes up with a new goal. So Africa, and then on to North America. So that's 2 steps. And for the other track, there is some coal in that bag somewhere, I swear. Another 2 steps, so over to solar. Well, that's good, because that's the one we're definitely going to get rid of, hopefully next turn. And then those go back in the bag. And then North America. So North America? Well, we did want to build a forestation plant at some point, so that's also good. Yeah, that's not too bad for goals-wise. Hopefully that will get us through the next decade anyway. And then these CEPs are paid to the supply, and everything is squared with the board. So we go back to turn 1, we go on to the next decade, and Excuse me. And I try not to cough to death. Sorry about that. Okay, hopefully that's cleared it. Right, so we are on to, well, probably proposing a forestation plant then, I suspect. And if we can get one built, or at least the infrastructure, sorry, that's also another card we can put out. And are we doing well on these goals? We've got solar done, we've got water, we can actually do this one. We might very well want to do that one. In fact, we might want to do that one now. Okay, well let's not get too far ahead and we'll do the plant proposal first. So, forestation plant, yes, thank you very much. And let's see. Well, I did say North America, didn't I? So sure. And yes, now might be a good point to do this card as well if we can get it in the right place. So if we place it here, we'll get one step up on the forestation track. We'll definitely have to get a summit finish on this before we have enough tech points, I suspect, in order to build it, but that's fine. Let's complete the main action first before we get anything else done. So it's money for CPs, so it's going to be 4 money, as per that, good. And now we can place a scientist out on it, good. And that's that done. And then a second main action, well, actually, we'll continue with executive actions, and we did the right spot for the proposal, so this one is now played, and we'll get the 2 cubes. Yeah, I think definitely 2 cubes worth, rather than the minor effect, which is a bit more money, because cubes are, I think, harder to come by than money. So yeah, we'll do that. That will get played. Place it over there. Just kind of shuffle this around so we can tell which ones we've placed and which ones we haven't. That's good. And now then, we could do the infrastructure for it, or we could build and get this wind turbine plant built. Well, the wind turbine is going to cost us 9 money. Do we have 9 money? Just about. Yes, we do. I think we're using a lot of CEPs this round, aren't we? I think what we might do is the infrastructure step first, because I think we'll use less CEPs that way in the end. So what we'll do is we'll do the infrastructure step, and we'll do it for this forestation plant. So scientist is going to come off, and he's going to get us a forestation step in the tech. We have to give up a CEP, we don't have any, but now we can start pilfering from Asia because we have access to their market, and we'll take it off from Asia instead. Yeah, I think we've depleted South America as much as we dare at this point, so we'll leave that for the time being. This then gets flipped, but before it flips it gives us the bonus of 2 CEPs. Well, they're going to come from the market, so 1 comes off, back to our board, and then the market is empty. So therefore it refills with 2 more CEPs, and the price for CEPs goes up. And as a side effect, during this turn only, we can no longer use the executive action to access the market and either buy or sell from it. So we'll have to try and hopefully remember that. I don't think we will though. And then the second CP comes off onto our board as well. So then this gets flipped, and we get the infrastructure out. And I don't think I'm missing anything in the goals yet. No? Okay, good. So this can then wait around until we build it. And we have completed a summit. So we do get that done. which is great because that's exactly what we need. So we've got 2 guys coming off, so there's going to be 4 research points in total, and we can split it between forestation and solar. We definitely want possibly 3 forestation and 1 solar, actually. So 3 forestation steps with 1, 2, 3, which will get us a bonus of a CEP, unfortunately back from the market. But we can place it in any region we like, and I think South America needs 1 more extra stuck in it, so we'll do that. Market again is depleted. It wasn't a trade, so we can still technically do that, and the price keeps going up. We might sell back to the market at some point, we'll see, just in order to get that price going down again. And then 1 step in solar, and we get a cube from the supply, which is great. And because we've reached the midpoints in both forestation and solar, I'm sure that's some goals knocked off the goals track. Yep, both those 2, which is perfect. And that is everything done with the summit, so that goes off. There's no other... Oh, there is summit bonuses as well. So we'll take this one for the solar summit, and it doesn't really matter, we'll take this one. Yeah, we'll take this one for the forestation summit. So that is then completed, and we need a new one out. Okay, so that's another 4 summits. So we might need to get more scientists out and get one of these finished, which would get this one done, maybe some water, forestation. Yeah, so basically either of these 4 ones we get done will triple up on goals, so that's great. We'll do one of those at some point then. So, okay, cool. And I think that was everything for that rather convoluted turn. Infrastructure? Yeah, okay. No, I think we're good. I think we're good. Okay, so... Oh, we didn't pollute. That's what I forgot to do. Must remember the pollution. Right then, so new turn. Now then, we want to... I think build is probably mandatory at this point, and then another proposal. So build first, propose first. Let's do a build and see what we have to work with after that. So we want to be building North America, which is this forestation plant. Okay, cool. We need, oh, too much money. More money than we have. Maybe it's time to sell then. This is now activated again. We can access the market. It's a new turn. So if we sell a CP to the market, that would get us 5 money, which would be enough. That needs to be down there if we're going to do that. Or we could propose, in which case we'll definitely get some money for it. We might have to do a proposal first then, just to get the money. Yeah, I think we want to keep our CEPs really, as much as possible. So we won't go to the market, we'll instead do a proposal, and we'll look at what we can propose. So then, if we want to think about these goals, then Paris or Vienna, either one looks... No, that looks better, because that will actually clear out all the remaining summit goals we have, if we can get this one done. So then, basically our next 4 proposals, we've got wind in the works, we've got forestation in the works. So our next 2 proposals then need to be recycling, or another, excuse me, terrible cough, or another water, because we've already got this one sorted. So, excuse me a second. So then, if we want to get this one done, and that one's sorted, so So then, water or recycling, and ideally water or recycling somewhere in North America is going to get built. Oceania is going to get built. We don't care about that anymore. Oh, we do care about Oceania at some point anyway. So Asia, North America, or Africa. Recycling of water in, well, North America is a possible location. Asia or Africa? Africa. Asia. Asia for recycling maybe would be nice. Yeah, I think we'll probably go for Asia actually. We might do a recycling plant in Asia. That looks like an idea anyway, so we'll go with that. So if we're going for a proposal, we're going to propose recycling, and we will plonk it out in money for CEPs. I think money for CEPs, because we do need extra money at the moment, and Asia will give us a lot of money for the 5 CEPs it has, so that's 5 money. And we get 1 step up on recycling, which is pretty good. Okay. I think that's everything. I don't think I'm missing anything. Yep, no, okay. My train of thought is gone slightly, but I think I'm still managing to keep it all together. Right, so we could place a scientist out. We definitely want to get more scientists out and then get them on that summit, so that's good. Now we can do the build, and yep, now we can do the build. So more pollution unfortunately, but still be. And it was going to be, which was it going to, the forestation, because that was going to cost us the 12. So yeah, we'll get that built. So let's see, that's 10, and then a further 2 is total of 12. So there's our money. A CEP, we do have some to spare now. We have them from our supplies, so that's fine. 3 cubes. Okay. Oops, back to the supply. And we get 10 points for it. So that's a good chunk of points. Hopefully that will set us up well, at least to weather the next decade's worth of goals. And where's the, here we go. So that then comes out, and we slide this down into available space. And we have indeed built in North America. And there's no goal for forestation, unfortunately, but that's fine. And that's good. We can now do a card, and I think it's time to start looking at these goal cards. So then, we've got tidal and solar, so that goal card has been completed. And then in future rounds we might try and get this one done, because we'll have solar and wind turbines out, so we'll probably do that at some point. So we need to pay 2 tech cubes for it. So I'll do that. We have some to spare just about. And then we get 2 points for it. And we can essentially now flip this over and forget about it for the rest of the game. And do 4 more of these, and then we're set for those ones anyway. Looking at solar goals, we're ticking up on the research tracks. We're getting them done reasonably well, as much as we can anyway. We've got control of 2 regions. We have a marker out for a 3rd one, but not control of it just yet, because we don't yet have the most types of energy anyway. So that will be a 3rd region at some point, I'm sure. And we have, well, we're going to get another water plant out at some point, so that will probably be the type of plant we go for in order to get our 3 similar types of power plant. So if we go for water, that will be fine. Good, okay, so on to the next turn. Now then, probably infrastructure, I wonder? Yeah, probably infrastructure. So that would certainly it would get us a CP back, it will get us some money, which is always handy, and then we can do another proposal and start doing probably maybe a scientist to get our third scientist out. So sure. So if we do infrastructure, let's see, need to spend a CP for it. Good. This scientist comes off, and we're going to plonk him on that particular summit over there to sit and... yeah, to sit and do that, and that's going to get us another point's worth of research. We get 5 money back from the bank. We get a CP from the market. Okay, and then this gets flipped over, and that gets placed on it. Okay, and we do have a bonus card for getting that infrastructure on it. So sure, we'll do this card now, and we'll get 2 cubes. I think we're going to need more cubes. The minor benefit of the CP might be nice, but again, we're going to need quite a few more cubes in order to get these done at some point. So more cubes is probably beneficial. And then we'll just chuck that one over there. Like so. And yep, so now a proposal or a build. We don't have near enough money, I suspect, to... oh no, I tell a lie. We do just about have 7 money, which we could use to build that recycling plant. Or we could do another proposal, get some more money, or maybe a scientist, and look at some other bits and pieces then. Well, by the end of this decade, we want to have built probably in Oceania, Asia, either one of those maybe. And unfortunately, we're not going to get these done anytime soon. That's going to be a big chunk of points, that really is. I said we were going to go for this summit, but it might be worth going for a smaller one just to get some of these cleared off and stop losing points to them. I think, I could do the math, but I'm not going to. I think we'll probably be okay for 1 more decade and not having to worry about these too much. If we can get some of these goals cleared off, these are going to have to wait, I suspect, until towards the end of the game, unfortunately. But if we can get some of these cleared off, these building ones, and we can leave these ones until decade 3, the 30s, but we will have to get them sorted by the 3rd decade. Otherwise, we're going to lose too many points to them. So yeah, we might be okay just to leave them for 1 more decade then, and hopefully not worry too much. So in that case then, we are going to definitely have to crack on with getting exactly those plants built and nothing else, and getting scientists out for these summits. In which case, let's do our proposal then. Is 1 build going to be enough, or we need 2 builds? We'll do a proposal, we'll hold off on the builds, and we'll see what we can do. So we're going to propose, we've got wind and recycling coming, so it's going to have to be forestation or water. Water gets us a decent mix of everything if we get the infrastructure onto it, so we'll go for water. Now then, where would we like to put it? We could put it in South America, but we already control South America, so there's no point doing that. I think it's going to have to be probably North America. Again, we could do Africa, but I want to kind of hold off on Africa until such time as it has all its power plants out, the coal and the gas and the natural gas and the oil. Because if we can then cover up some of these power plants with our own, which we eventually build out into the region, that will then reduce the pollution on the pollution track. All other regions, South America? Oh, well, okay, fair enough. Oceania and South America are the only ones, but other ones have extra spaces where you can actually have to put power plants first before you start covering up fossil fuel ones. So Africa will certainly get its filled up with fossil fuel plants first, and then we can start covering up, and then we can start reducing pollution that way. So I think we'll hold off on Africa for the time being, and then we'll probably go for North America maybe? Yeah, we'll go for North America, and we'll propose a plant there. And I think we'll probably do it in the scientist area, and we'll get another scientist out. So we get one more water for that proposal, which is up. That's not a goal we need to accomplish, so no benefit for getting this step, unfortunately, but it's more income anyway. And the scientist comes to our board, and we get a research of our choice, and well, we're at the stage in all the research tracks where we're not worrying about having to build anything anymore. We've got all the necessary steps for building all the power plants. But we could do water, and then that would push us up far enough we get a bonus step for forestation. So yeah, we'll do that. That seems about right. And then an executive action step will be to get a scientist out onto our newly proposed site, and we'll do that. Right then. So we are done with that round. Yep. We didn't get any money from it. We might have to do some... Anyway. So all those come off. Those come off. We don't want to go to the market for CPs. No, we need this money, I think, to build a plant now. So next decade... Did I forget? I believe I forgot again to... yeah, I think I've been doing bonus actions every single round, so should be up 3 pollution steps. So fine. Now we're going to definitely do a build, and then one of something else, either proposal or infrastructure. So if we do a build, and I think probably into Oceania. Well, either Asia or Oceania is about as good as any. We have the money currently for the recycling plant in Asia. We could do something else and get some more money, which would allow us to, build out into Oceania. That would get us more points. And I think that's probably a good idea, to be honest. So yeah. What we'll do first then is infrastructure, I think. So if we do our infrastructure into our North American tidal plant, so we have to give up a CP, and we'll take one. Oh, we do have one on our board, so take one from our board. That's fine. And then this guy gives us a tidal research steps, that's fine, and this flips over, we get a CP back from the market. Price goes up, price is going to hit 8, I'm sure, at some point. We get 3 money, which is great, and we get a tech cube, which is also great. 3 money. Okay. And then this flips, and we get this placed onto it. So then... can we do a bonus card while we need the point still? Let's see, we've got this one done, which is solar and, not quite. Well, not quite yet. We could do it in an action's time. Have we got either of these done? That one is missing a recycling, unfortunately. And then we need double recycling for those, blimey. Double recycling for, oh dear. Maybe recycling will be the power plant we need to specialise in rather than tidal. Yeah, I didn't take those into account. We need to have 5 of these done out of the 8 by the end of the game, so actually it might be worth having to do tidal recycling instead. Did not think of that. Well, no use worrying about it right now. We'll have to worry about it next decade, I think. That's a lot of plants. Yes, indeed. Okay, so, well, if we build a recycling plant, we would get this card played. No, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. So, we did the infrastructure step, and now we're going to do a build as our second main action. Have to pollute, unfortunately, but fine. We're going to give up. So it's going to be wind power now, so we're going to give up 9 money, which is almost all of it. And what else do we need? 9 money, 2 cubes, and a CP, and we get 7 points, which is 31. Okay, and then that was wind, so we need our wind plant, and then that gets pushed into that space there, which is great. And we also get a cube out for wind, which is not so good, but that's fine. We probably won't be calling the Oceania control anyway, so fine. We'll have to focus on Africa, which is doable. Europe, I suspect, is doable, and North America will have to get in there as well. So, yeah, we can probably forget about Oceania then and not worry about that region. Okay, got the point, spent the stuff, good, right. On to then doing a bonus card, which would be this one here. Yeah, or saving the cubes and trying to do these ones, which cost less but require more in terms of bits and pieces. We're going to have to do, so 1, 2, 3, so we could actually do all of these lower cube cards and not have to worry about these ones anymore, which I think is possibly a way to go, if we certainly want to make efficient use of our cubes. Yeah, no, I think we'll do that. I think we'll wait off on activating. We might or may not have needed the 2 points this round, but it's fine. We'll hold off and we'll try and make best use of our cubes in getting these ones done instead. So, fine. Alright, so we're all done with turns and onto income, and we should hopefully get a decent chunk of income now. So 2, 5, 10, 16. And I think, unfortunately, oh, and we should have rebuilt in Oceania, so that one gets flipped over. And nothing else, unfortunately. So 16 points would bring us up to 47, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to lose 6, 10, 20 points, which would be 27, back down again. So that was incredibly quick, managed to do it all in my head. And then we're going to need 4 plants worth of pollution, which at an average of 3 is going to be, yeah, I think we're all going to have to take it in points, unfortunately. Never mind. So what did I say, 31 plus 16 was it? 5, 6, yep, 16. So that would be 6, and then 16. And then we're losing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times 2 this time is 20, so back down to 27. That's, yep, okay. And then we do the fossil fuel plant step. Oh joy. And now we've gone through all our gas, I suspect a lot of it coming out is going to be coal now. Or maybe oil. Well, okay, oil's not too bad. So we need 1 here. And that's 3 up. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then another one for Africa, which is going to be, oh, oil again. Okay. Actually, that should be that way round. So 1, 2, 3, and now at the limit of our pollution track. So we're going to have to start spending points. That's gas. That would be over here in Europe. So we're going to lose 1, 2, 3, 4 points now. And what else have we got? Oil again, yep, for South America. And that's going 6 points down to 17. And then finally, oil again would be... Wait, is that everything? No, surely not. Yeah, 20s, 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 20s. Oh, did I get 3 plants out, or have I miscalculated somewhere? It was an oil plant, wasn't it? Yeah, so it was an oil plant. And let's see, we put one out in Asia, we put one out in Africa and one out in Europe. And one out in South America. Oh, maybe I've got ahead of myself completely. Okay, fair enough. And we built 2, one in North... Okay, so maybe we are okay on that for the time being. Oh, well, alright, that's not so bad then. I was expecting to lose a bit more points, but fine. We have 17 points, and we are up 10 steps on the pollution track. So we could basically lose 20 points now and bring it all the way back down again. We don't have 20 points. In multiples of 2, we have exactly 16, so 8. And that's probably worth it, I think, unfortunately. So we're going to lose 16, and I'm going to drop this down to 420, and that's as far as we can go. Not strictly necessary, but we'll lose less points for doing it now than we would lose for doing it next decade. So yeah, I think we'll do that and call it that. And then we may as well use this one I drew out the bag for the goals. So Asia, Africa, around to North America. So we need to build in North America again. Did I say we're going to build in North America? I did say we're going to build in North America, so that's great. And then we need gas, that's 2 steps, so that for the water summit, tidal wave summit. So, well, we were definitely going to try and get these done this decade anyway. So, whichever one of these it landed on, it wasn't going to cause us too many problems, I don't think. If we don't get this done, I suspect we're going to lose. So, it's basically this and building in North America, which is hopefully doable, hopefully. Alright, so that was income, that was goals, that was fossil fuels. I've actually been getting ahead of myself completely, so now we're on to the 3rd decade, turn 1. Now then, after having shuffled these cards all around, well then, we need to get forestation plant proposed, scientist on and infrastructured, and then wind turbine plant proposed, scientist on and infrastructured. Not the infrastructure step isn't absolutely necessary. You can move your scientist off without having to do that, but it's just a bit of a bonus step, so if you can possibly do it, it helps. So yeah, plant proposal is probably definitely in the works, which would give us some more money, which would allow us to build this tidal one in North America. Now then, the tricky part now comes is, do we want to start still using bonus actions, because they're going to cost us more and more pollution and more points as we go on through the game? I honestly don't know the answer to that question. Oh, and I've missed the CEP step stage. So those were paid for by the region. Yep. Now then, this one is under our control. So we basically have a choice of either doing it from Asia, or we can take it from, for example, South America, where we are in control. I think we'll do it from Asia, that's fine. So we'll pay for it from Asia. And that one, and this one again, we can pay for it from South America. We probably have just about enough in the region to do that. So that's fine. Right then, so we're going to put a project out. We're going to propose a project, and it's going to be either forestation or wind. And I think wind would get us a lot more money if we then flip it. Forestation will get us some CEPs. I think we'll do the wind one. So we'll put this one out, and we want to place it probably Europe. I think we need to build in North America. We've got the power plant down for that. We need to build in Asia. We need to build in Africa. We can do wind in Africa and Asia. It does require wind. So sure, we'll do wind in Asia then. And we did want an extra scientist. So if we do that, okay. So that gives us one step on the wind track, which also gets us a cube. Good. And we get our scientist out there. So that is also a step of our choice. And I think, what are we not achieving with this particular summit? Solar. We're not achieving solar, so we might have to bump up solar some more by a step. That will get that pushing around. Okay, that's placed out, and we can do an executive action to move a scientist onto it. Good. We have... yeah, okay. We can actually do a car now, can't we? We can do this card. We've built... let's see, we've built solar, we've built wind. We have not yet built recycling. That is a sticking point still. So we can't, unfortunately, do the card. Never mind. And then we can propose, put infrastructure out onto a project, and that would be, yeah, no, I think we're probably still going to have to use bonus actions just to get everything done, unfortunately. Man, this is tricky. Maybe in the final decade we won't do any bonus actions, if we get that far. So now we need to be doing infrastructure onto this plant. So we need to pay a CP. Well, I think we're going to have to steal it from Asia, unfortunately, because we control it. And then we can flip this, and the scientists will move on to the summit, and wind will get an extra step, and we can place a CP out. Well, from the market, probably back into Asia, since that's the one we're taking so many from, so we'll just replenish them a bit. And we can flip this and get 5 money and a cube. 5 money, a cube, excellent. And that gets flipped. Good. Okay, now then, so marker's back. I think we might do the very same thing. We're going to propose again, and the final one we want to propose, at least at this point, is afforestation. So where can that now go? Europe, I think, is definitely the answer for that one. Yes, okay. So, proposing in Europe, and we don't want any more scientists. We don't want to necessarily move them around, so that's fine. We are okay, I think, on cubes. So money is the name of the game at this point. So we get one forestation step, and we can put out another CP from the market into Europe, I think. And I don't know if this is the correct way of doing this. It might be that it all kind of chains together, but if we put this out, get the research step for it, and then get the bonus of putting it out, which is money per CPs, now we place one back into Europe, we would get 4 money instead of the 3 that was there previously. Again, I'd like to think that's how it works, so I'm going to do so. Please correct me if that's not quite the way it works. But anyway, so we'll do that. We got the research step, yep. And the market has been depleted, so we refill, price goes up. I don't think we're ever going to be buying from the market at this point anyway, so fine. Okay, and we will do again a scientist step, and again put a guy out onto that plant. And now we can again do infrastructure, pay a CEP, probably Maybe the one we just took from, or placed back into Europe. We can't, we don't own Europe yet. So, I think Asia again, unfortunately, it's going the brunt of it at the moment. So I'll pay the CP for that, and we get 2 back as a reward, so we'll again clean out the market. And this guy gets moved off, so this gets flipped over. And we finally get this summit done. Hoorah! Okay. So we can now finish up with actions, I think. Did I? I think I missed the pollution step again, so I'll do that. Finish up with actions, so now we'll finish this summit finally. So these guys all come off and we get 8 tech points in all these topics, or a choice thereof. So basically anything apart from solar, and we probably may as well do 2 apiece in either. Definitely 2 into solar, because that will get us another CP we can place out, and a step of our choice. And I think solar is probably a good idea for that one, which will get us another cube. Starts chaining together nicely. 1 into forestation. And okay, so that was 2 for water. I think we'll do 1 into forestation and 1 into recycling. So that's a further 2, so that's 4 in total. And then the bonus we get from forestation we'll put again into solar and bump up solar, which gives us another bonus, and we'll put that also into recycling, which gives us another bonus. And we'll put that into wind, which gives us yet another bonus, and we'll put that into solar. So, keeping track of all that? Good. Which gives us a further 2, and I think we'll do 2 into recycling, which gives us a forestation step, and we'll do 1 into forestation, which gives us another CP, plonk, and this cannot go up any further, it stops at 8, and that's the limit. And do I have one more? I think I have one more. 1 into forestation and a further one. Unfortunately, I'd like to put it into solar, but I can't. So, water, I think. We're going to be doing a lot of water plants, several water plants and several recycling plants. So those will probably be covered with summits at some point. So wind then instead, and we'll do that. Okay, I think that's everything. If you managed to keep track of all that and I made a mistake, by all means point it out, but I think that's hopefully satisfactory. Anyway, so that's now done. We need a new one out. That one covers all these summit goals, so they all get flipped, which is great because that's a chunk of points we won't be losing. And we have reached the end of, which one was it? The forestation track, which also gets this one flipped. So that's another one we won't be losing, so great. That's, yeah, goals are looking healthier than before, certainly. Right, that was everything. So these get cleared back, scientists all come back, we're going to need to start sticking them out. Maybe, now we're finished with summits, we might want to start using them, a few of them, for minor bonuses on the goals. So we'll see, on the bonus cards. And so, number 3, turn 3. We have 9 money. We would like to build a plant. And we would like to build, I think, in North America, I said. So can we build a water plant? For 9, we certainly can do. We will build. So it's going to cost all the money, which is fine, that's what it's there for. A CP, and 1 tech cube. So, fine. And that clears us 6 points and the plant's built. So we'll give ourselves 6 and the plant gets built. Good. We are going to need to build one more plant. We're going to get a chunk of points from income, and that will hopefully go towards negating these goals, so that's fine. But if we can get one more plant built for income, for points, sorry, and also make it in Asia or Africa, and therefore get that goal cleared. So recycling plant in Asia, quite possibly. Well, if we build a recycling plant in Asia, that's, well, the least amount of money really, so that's good. So we need 7 money from somewhere. Well, we could propose another plant, and I think we're going to need to propose another recycling plant at some point to get that built, to get these goals sorted. So we propose a recycling plant. That's a pollution, I won't forget to do that. And that can go in, I did say Africa, didn't I? And I think at this point, we're not going to get it built this round, so we can get this covered up and then cleared off when we actually put the plant out. So sure, and I think tech cubes, not doing too badly for tech cubes, to be honest. We'll get 1 money. That's, oh dear, that's not the best, is it? Somewhere else maybe then. Europe would get us, no, we can't put it in the money slot because that's already occupied. This is the problem of not clearing off these plants as quick as we put them out. Well, Asia for cubes then, unfortunately. And we'll have to look at money. We might have to sell our CEP. That's interesting. Okay, well we'll do Asia for cubes then. So we get 1 recycling step, and we get 2 cubes from the supply. Okay. And we can do a put scientist out step and do that. And yeah, there are some summits we can work towards for that, so that's fine. And we could also do a goal step and get, what do we have? This one not yet finished. No, unfortunately, if we're doing these ones, we need at least 1 recycling plant. So if we build a recycling plant, so if we sell our CEP as an executive action back to the market, it doesn't actually go onto the market, it just goes to supply, but we can reduce the cost slightly and get 8 money for selling it, which is fine. Right, so that was proposal, executive action, yep, okay. And then that will give us money next turn to build with, so fine. Right, which indeed we are on to. We're on to the next turn. So these all clear off, and final turn of the decade. Well, we want to build this plant, and we want to propose another, or get the infrastructure out for it. I think probably infrastructure this recycling plant as well, maybe. So building, and it's going to cost us 7 money, like so. 1 cube, and then 1 CEP, and we'll take it from Asia again. And now then, right, so that recycling plant is built, which is great because we can clear off. Oh, we were going to build in North America. Oh dear. Oh, that's not so good. Oh, well, nothing we can do about that now. Whoops. Yes, I probably then should have proposed. I may have had enough turns to propose, flip it, and then get it built. But We must have built in North America. We covered up for the third decade. We did build in North America because we got the points for it. Yeah, no, we did build in North America. Oh dear, I'm losing my mind here. Okay, no, so we built in North America, now we're building in Asia, and we're going to get 5 points for that plant, up to 12, and yes, and the goals are now satisfactory. So a further build in Africa, which we have set ourselves up for. Research tracks, well, we'll try and get those sorted at some point, and then we are well on our way to getting all the goals sorted, so we won't lose points for those, which is good. Okay. So that was the build. We spent all the stuff, and now we have we might not do a bonus action then, or another main action. We might actually not do a main action this round. We'll certainly do an executive action of getting this goal sorted. So we have solar, we have wind, we have recycling now. We can spend the cube to do so, and it will give us 2 points and get this one flipped. So that's good. We've got 3 more to get. We're going to need recycling for both of them. So another recycling, we have a recycling available. We did build recycling into Asia, so that would give us that, but for purposes of control it's neither here nor there. Well, if we build recycling into Africa, that is this one finished, and that will give us control. If we build deforestation into Europe, that will give us control in Europe. We are then going to need 1 more recycling, maybe in Europe, to accomplish this ×3 plants goal. We'll have 4 territories which we control. We just need to get the tracks sorted. Scientists coming off plants, summits getting completed may very well give us some points. Wow, that's a tough one. It's not insurmountable, it's just a bit difficult, but we'll keep going and we'll see. So, that being said then, maybe we'll not bother. No. Yeah, I think we'll do another main action. We'll probably have to do, hopefully, less next decade, which is fine because we only have to suffer -4 points for each of them. But while we can, and it's still getting us towards our main objectives, that's probably a reasonable trade-off. So sure, we'll do that. We'll pollute a 4th time. We will get the infrastructure for this one. So CEP paid, gain from Asia. It's really going to run out of CPs at some point, I suspect. This flips over, and the scientist comes off it, so we'll get... Okay, let's do this one step at a time before I run ahead of myself. So, we paid the CP. We're going to get 5 money in the CP in rewards. So I'll take the 5 money and the CP from the market in rewards. Right, that bit is done. This then flips over and we get the infrastructure onto it. We've run out of all our main colour infrastructure, so we can start using other colours. This scientist goes onto a summit, and we'll figure out which one in a second, but he will bump us up on recycling track, which will get another CP back out. So from the market into Asia, and then we'll put 2 more. And then this guy can go... unfortunately there is no recycling and forestation, which is... let's do recycling and wind, and we'll have to propose a wind at some point. Or recycling and water, and we could propose a water at some point. Was I going to do water? I wasn't really, but I might have to at this point. So sure, we'll try that. And we'll go for there. We do need some more movement on the water track. Actually, we do need some more on the wind track as well. And solar. Solar we can definitely get from recycling. That will give us the multi-step we need to get solar up. once recycling's done. So it's just wind and water. Ah, dear. Fine. Okay. Well, recycling. I think in that case then, slight change of plans. We'll go for recycling and wind turbines for that summit then. Yeah, okay. We paid the pollution, we put the infrastructure out. I think we're good on all the bits and pieces. So yeah, decade over. Back, done. On to income. Now then, we're going to get 5, 10, 15, 21, 27. And we're going to lose 9 in that. Which would be back down, or plus 18 only. And we've got plants and plants and plants. 4 to come out, 5 to come out. Really? No, 4 to come out. Oh dear, an average of 3, which is 12 steps times 3 is 36. I think, unfortunately, we have to put it all into points. So, 21 points. Just double check. 5, 10, 15, plus the 21, 27 points. Okay, so 27 points would be 34, 41. So there's our points, or our income, sorry. And then goals, we're going to lose 3 at 3 apiece, so that's 9, so back down to, and then a further 8 is 32. And then we come on to polluting. And this is probably where all the coal's going to start coming out. Yep, there it is. So that one is fine. Africa is not fine. Africa needs 1, 2, 3, 4. But we can, when we put a plant out, we can clear this one off and get the pollution back down for that one. So that's fine. Oil at 3, so we can't put it any higher, so we need to lose 3 times 3 is 9, so we need to lose 9 points. 30 down to 23, alright. If we survive this one, we might be okay. More oil. Again, another 9 points, so that's 3, and then a further 6 is down 20 to 14. So I think we're okay. I think we're fine. I'm not going to be able to decrease pollution any further by spending more points, unfortunately. And a further oil goes into Oceania. Oh, and South America should have used my marker, but I'm going to use the CP from South America anyway, so that's fine. Okay, and we need to lose a further, what was it, 9 again. So down 4, and then a further 5 brings us to 5. So we could spend 3 points, like so. Now then, this is going to, this basically dictates what we can do for the final decade. So we spend all those CPs, and we need, I was going to say we need to draw a plant for the UN inspector bit. We don't, because whatever happens, it's going to hit Africa, and we're done with this particular one for the summit, so that's fine. This is going to determine what we do in our final decade, because we can only pollute once. We can't push it more than 500, because we lose the game. So basically we can do 4 main actions as the 4 turns, and at some point we get to do 1 bonus action, and that is it. Unless we can build this plant out and therefore reduce pollution by 4 steps and then start doing more actions, which is what we might well have to do. Yeah. So to build this plant, it's going to cost us 7 still. We don't have 7, we have 6. We have to get more money from somewhere, so that's probably another proposal. We were going to try and put out a third recycling plant. Blimey. We need to get this one built, we need to get this one built to control Europe. We need to get a third plant built, basically for not only these bonus goals here, but also this goal here. Wow, this is a mess. If we don't... There's nothing else we can do. We control Asia, we don't control Oceania, and we're not going to. We don't control North America, and we're not going to. So South America, Africa is fine, Asia, and we have to get Europe, essentially. Oh, blimey. This is tricky. This is tricky stuff. Can we even build 3 plants? Can we even do it? 1 build, 2 build. 1 propose, 1 infrastructure, 1 build. That's 5 actions worth out of possibly 8 that we have for the turns. It's doable. It's going to be tight, but it's doable. That's a bunch of cash as well. So cash all the way, really. Where on earth are we going to get all the cash from? Selling CPs and then just basically starving Asia for CPs is probably the way to go. Right. So if we propose, and it's going to be a recycling plant, and we place it in... Oh, and we also need to propose a wind turbine just to get the scientist out on it, just to get it into the summit. And we also need to propose 1 other as well, I think, as well, for the water, just to get the scientist out on it, just to get it into the, or at least get the point, the research point. No, if we put the infrastructure out for it, that'll be enough to get us a research point, or put the project out. Wow, my brain is gone. Let's do... I think we're going to need more cubes, unfortunately, over scientist movement. So let's do this, and we'll get that moved up, which will then get us the solar step we wanted. So that's fine. That's going to be 2 cubes, which is fine. We probably have a need for cubes. And then we get a CP back from the market, and we'll put it into Asia. Which is fine. Everywhere else is okay. South America's got 1 left, but it's only got 1 more plant space to fill. That's fine. Indeed. We are then going to have to put a scientist out, which will get that sorted. That's good. That's not strictly necessary. In fact, is it even necessary? Maybe not. No, I don't think it is necessary, actually. So we can hold off on the scientist, because actually if we... No, we do need to get it out onto the project, because then at some point we can get him onto a card for the minor effect. We are then going to have to sell our CEP to the market. I think we've got enough in Asia at the moment, we can probably take that completely and just use all its CPs. So if we sell, and we'll get 8 for it, 2 plus 6, oops, 6, that should give us at least a good amount of money. Then we can build, and that is the 1 pollution we are allowed at the moment, like so, which we're going to build this plant in Africa. So it's going to cost 7. So the money we just got we'll put back again. It's going to be CP, we can take it from the Asian market. It's going to be a cube, that's fine, we have enough of those. And that gives us 5 points, which is fine. Up to 7, sorry. More importantly, we get to build this plant here and bump this fossil fuel plant off, and that reduces our pollution by 4 steps, which is great because we're going to need those steps for extra actions. And good, now we can use that to do a card, and we could do the bonus card, but I think it's more important to get these ones now sorted. So we have this one, it doesn't matter either way I don't think, so 2 recycles, yep, plus the wind turbine, yep. We'll spend the extra cube, we'll get this one flipped over, and 2 more points. And we have indeed built in Africa, so that's that covered. Great. And we have indeed reached into the solar track, so that one's that covered. And I'm going to put a quick break in here, and then hopefully carry on for the hopefully successful conclusion of the game in a second. And we're back. One thing I did forget to do was when I built the recycling plant, I should have placed in a marker which would then give us control of the Africa region. So that's all done, and then I believe we are on to a new turn. So second turn, a couple more to go. Let's have a look then. We need to get this infrastructured and built, and then possibly a wind plant for the for the summit, and a water for just the research bonus track there. Well, let's see, what have we got now? So we've got 7 money. That's going to be enough to build the recycling plant. And is that all the plants we need? I think that's all the plants we possibly need to actually build. I think the rest of them can just be proposed projects and then just be left and done with. Oh, we need to build one more. Right, that was it. So the forestation. So that's going to require 12 money. Blimey, where do we get 12 money from? Well, that's going to get flipped, and that's going to give us 5. We've got some minor bonuses on the cards, which might give us some money. That's going to be, what, 7? That's only worth 6, so that's 8. So we need 4 money from somewhere else. Proposed plant. Right, okay, I think I know where I can get money from. Huh. So let's propose, and then infrastructure. Yeah, okay. So we propose another project. It's going to have to be one's going to have to be wind, one's going to have to be water, and I think that's it for that. So we can pick whichever one we like, to be honest. Doesn't really make a huge amount of difference money wise. Well, the wind can go into Asia, and that will get us money for CPs, and the water could go North America, and that would also get money for CPs. Yeah, that's okay. So we'll take the water and we'll place it into North America, and we're going to get 4 money and also a step up on the water track, or research anyway, and that's 4 money for placing it in that location. And we don't necessarily need a scientist out on it then. So instead, what we might do then is still move a scientist as part of our bonus, but we can move this guy off here, and he would come off anyway when it gets proposed. In that case, is it even worth bothering? No, not really. No. Honestly. No, we don't have to do that at all. We can just not do that. So we may as well use a card action though. And we can fulfill one of these ones then. So we've got 2 recycles, yep, and a forestation, so we can get this one done. So that's another cube, and that gets flipped, and that's 2 points. I might be... No, I think we're okay. I don't think it's going to matter too much in the way of scientists. If we have this scientist move off and we can place him onto one of these cards for the minor bonus, for the money, and then we need a scientist out definitely onto a wind plant at some point, and then he will come off and we can get him onto the summit. But other than that, I don't think extra scientists moving around is strictly necessary. So, yeah, okay, that's fair enough then. And then we want to do so we proposed, and we could do infrastructure. Yeah, we can't do a second proposal, and we're not in a position to build just yet, so we'll do infrastructure, and we'll get this one done. So let's see. The CEP is again going to have to come from Asia, I suspect. And this will get flipped, and we'll get 5 money in the CEP back, well, from the market anyway. So that needs to refill, and we'll get 5 money, which is great. That's getting there. This gets flipped, this is in place, and then this guy can then go off, and we will move him onto a played card as a minor bonus, and we get 2 money for it. So basically, moving scientists around, once they're on your board, they can essentially only go onto projects. Once they're on projects, however, they can then go onto other projects, onto summits, and onto cards as minor bonuses. So we couldn't just play them straight from a hand onto the card, I'm afraid. I believe that's how it works. Anyway, so that's now done. And that means we need to pollute, unfortunately, like so. We've used up our executive action, so we can't do another one, but we still have one executive action to do the card. And that's probably about it, to be honest. I think we only need one more executive action to do this card, and that's it. So we might save up another one, possibly, for another minor bonus? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, we're done with actions. So these are done. This is done. 3rd turn, so we're getting very close to the end. Now then. These 2 have to get built. And then we need a wind placed out and proposed. That's going to be everything. That's going to be all our actions. Blimey, that was tight. So, building. We're going to build this one because we have got the money for it. And it needs to have, let's see, 6 money because it's a level 2 plant now. Yep. CEP, we've got the CEP. And 2 cubes. Are we going to have enough cubes? I think we've just about got enough cubes. It's going to be very close though. And then this one is built. It gives us 6 points to 17, and we can place that onto it, which fills up this slot. Yeah, okay. So then a second. We don't have enough money yet. What have we got? 6, 7, 12. We do have enough money actually for the forestation. So we can't build it just. Oh, we can build it. No, we can't because that was the action. Sorry, I'm getting my actions mixed up. So unfortunately we haven't got the action available just yet. We will have it available next turn, however. So for the time being we'll propose. And it was going to be the wind plant. Like so. That's going to pollute. Right. And then wind will have to get placed out into Asia. I don't think it matters too much, to be honest. It's not going to get built. So basically we just want to use it for cubes, maybe? I don't think we're short of anything, so we'll place it there. We'll get the research, which is a CEP, which is back into Asia as per normal. And We get 2 cubes. We'll take them. We can probably find a use for them, to be honest. And we're going to do another card action, which is this one now. We've got all the requisite stuff for that, so that's another cube used up. That one's flipped over. That's a further 2 points. Great, so that's all our goals there sorted and satisfactory. That's fine. We then can... what can we do? Nothing else? Move a scientist? Yes, that was it. Move a scientist. So move a scientist onto this project. He's then ready to attend the summit when he gets moved off, which is great. And that's done. So, actions cleared. Final turn. Build this plant. It's going to be... Nope, we didn't need to waste a card action doing that, so that's fine. Where was I? So it's a forestation. So we've got 7, 12 money, so all the money we have left. We've got a CEP from Asia. We've got 3 cubes, so actually we had just about enough cubes, and no more, really. So 3 cubes, that's 10 points, up to 29, and that. And that is that done. Good. Oh, and we should be doing cube into there, which means we now have control of Europe. Excellent. That's perfect. And then the final one is a infrastructure, which is going to be unfortunately another pollute, but what can you do? This one. So gain CP from Asia covering the cost. That's going to flip over and we'll get 5 money in the cube from it. Not that we really need it at this point, but it doesn't hurt, so sure. This scientist is then going to come off onto the summit. He's going to bump this up, which is neither here nor there, but this summit is then going to succeed, and that's where we get the final research from. I think that's probably everything. I hope so, anyway. So, all actions done. Yep, scientists come back. Summit is complete. We get 4 points to split between wind and recycling. Well, it's basically all going to be lost apart from this final point into recycling, but there we go. And is there anything further we could play? Nope, we couldn't. Nope, I think that's it. Unfortunately, I think we're all done. We have no further goals we want to complete. Or do we? Stuff left over is not going to get you points at the end of the game, really. So we might want to actually, just to give us a bit of leeway, complete one of these ones, this double recycling, really, just to give us a further 2 points. So we have to give up 2 cubes, a further 2 points, and then hopefully that will boost our score somewhat at the very end, or at least allow us to win the game, hopefully, depending on what else happens. So I think we're done. I think that's everything up to date. All actions, yep. Okay, so on to income. And at this point money is immaterial, so we can convert it all into points. So we've got 5, let's see, that's going to be 14, that's 20, 31. 31 points. To 62. Really? Yeah, 31 doubled is indeed 62. Fine. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Oh, and we should have flipped over this goal, because we did indeed get to the end of recycling track. So that's done. Goals are done. We've cleared the board. We don't get any negative points from those goals. So it's just down to pollution now. This should go back in the sack, and we'll draw out, well, hopefully not a load of coal, basically. Probably should have got a couple. Something would have been easier to drag tiles out one-handed. Right, so we've got oil. Okay, so oil needs to go into Asia. Just checking I actually left enough. Yeah, I did. leave enough CPs in the various areas to cover this process. For simplicity's sake, I will be putting out that, but essentially I'm just going to take the CP from the area anyway, so that's not a problem. I'll just do it straight away. Some bonus goals require you to have CPs left in particular areas if you want to try and achieve those goals, so that's maybe why you may take them from other areas, but for the purposes of this we can just take them straight from the areas and it won't affect things too terribly much. So, but we are going to have to do 30 pollution, so that, and then we're going to lose 8 points now because it's 4 every step. So we're going to lose 8 points, and this is where our points goes down terribly. For that one, Africa is fine, Europe is fine, South America is not. South America does need a plant. It's gas, oh, there's some still gas left in the bag. Okay, so CEP and a further 8 down to 46. We need one for north. Where's all this gas coming from? Oh, okay, fine. We need one for North America, so that's a further 8 points. So this is actually looking, well, at least winnable then. It wasn't a bunch of coal that was coming out that would really hurt us. There's some oil. And the CEP, and that is going to be 12 points. So that's down to 8, and then a further 4. And that's everything. Yeah, so all the areas have their requisite power needs met. We will, however, reduce pollution more. Let's see, so we can do, what are we up to? 6, so if we do further 8 points, down 2, a further 8 points, down 2, and a further 8 points, down another 2, and that will drop us down to 440 ppm, which is useful because that's basically bonus scoring now. So I think we're just about done. Final decade. We haven't slid into complete meltdown of the Earth, so that's great. We just about got there at the end. We now can check our card setup for the Solo game and see how we did. So you put out 4 of these objective cards, play all 4 decades as it says. You need to complete your 2 private goals. In this case, our 2 goals were, for the Solo game, we needed to control 4 regions. We have Africa, Europe, South America, and Asia. Oceania and North America lost to us. Yep, that's fine, but the other 4 are successfully controlled, so that's good. We need to have built, in a Solo game, 3 of the same type of plant. We got 3 recycling plants out. So, yep, tick VG. Claim all 3 but 3 UN gold cards. Well, we managed to do all but 2 actually, so that's successfully done. We flip it over, and we get a, as it says, a victory epitaph. And we did do the Solo goal as well, which made things a tad harder, but still, of getting all 5 research tracks pushed through to the very end. And let's see, so we were between 410 and 450, so we're up at 440. So that's this range here. So we are, how many gold cards do we leave unclaimed? 2. Okay, so we are credible friends of the backyard. Not quite sure what to make of that, but it sounds suitably environmentally friendly. Yeah, I'll go with that. So fine. Not quite obviously amazing heroes of the earth, but still, I'm happy to help out the back garden any way I can. And that is the Solo game. It's more of a puzzle than anything else, I think. You basically have, you can see all the goals that you want to try and achieve to minimise your points reduction at the end of the decades, and you certainly know you've got 4 cards dealt to, and you try and achieve 2 of them. And if you want to, you can go for a Solo goal as well. So basically you have all your objectives laid out at the beginning of the game, and barring the UN inspector turning up in unexpected places and throwing some wrenches into the works with double negative points, you can pretty much plan out what you're going to try and do throughout the game. So there's no unexpected hiccups really, unless you do get extremely unlucky, and we were, I think, incredibly fortunate with a bunch of gas plants, but you may get a whole bunch of coal plants coming out, which is going to throw your pollution through the roof. But even so, you can still plan out reasonably well what you're going to try and do throughout the game, and hope it all goes to plan and you've tailored it perfectly to win at the end of the game, and then you try and get your pollution down basically, and get your best wording on the card, and that's how it plays. So yeah, solo game with CO2. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't run away with things too much. I'm fully aware that at certain points during the game I was probably going off wildly, not making a whole lot of sense. But I hope things managed to chain together well enough that you managed to follow reasonably well what was going on. Yeah, and I will see you next time.